Ladies and gentlemen, Saturday, March 23rd, 2019. I want to welcome you to the Sports Talk Show. Say what you need to say. This is Gary Chicken Ingram, and glad to have you listeners and people out there in the Facebook and YouTube world to join us again tonight. Hope everybody had a great week going into this weekend. I know everybody probably all into this March Madness and everything, and spring training is winding down for Major League clubs, and I know everybody's itching to see what Machado and Bryce Harper is going to do, and also what the money man Mike Trout is going to do. Wow, I'm still gasping over that big old 12-year, $430 million contract. But you know what? I really do think that guy is the one that deserves it because he is the best player in the game today. But today we got a different topic this week. I got a special guest that I'm going to have with us tonight as well. And what we're going to talk about is something that I think needs to be said, needs to be discussed, especially for some parents out there that have their kids involved, in professional baseball dreams, also like travel ball. But tonight, I got a special guest on the line, and he's gonna actually give us a little bit of his insight on, how to deal with the problems of, and also dealing with life after baseball. The special guest that I am referring to is Mr. Jaye Chapman. Mr. Chapman, are you on the line with us tonight?
I sure am. How you doing, Chicken?
I'm doing great. You the first caller that says, how you doing, chicken, when they called in, right?
Hey, come on, we go way back, man. You know that.
Hey, yes, we do, sir. Yes, we do. And, how's the weather down there in lovely Panama City, Florida?
Man, it was good. Today was one of the first real, one of those spring days, man. It wasn't too windy. It was nice and hot. The beach was packed with spring breakers, and it was a nice day out here, man. That's for sure.
Outstanding. I'm going to get the listeners real quick, a little bit of quick background about you. Mr. Jaye Chapman was drafted in 2005 out of Chipotle Junior College in Marietta, Florida by the Atlanta Braves in the 16th round. He made his Major League debut September 4th in 2012. And all I can say, people and listeners, this dude had the nastiest changeup I have seen. And I seen Tom Glavine's changeup, but Tom Glavine was from the left. But this guy from the right side, this changeup was unhittable. Am I right or wrong, Mr. Chapman?
And that was, man, back in those days when I was locked into that zone, I just felt like every time I threw it, it wasn't going to get hit. It was one of those things,
Yeah, I totally understand, man. But I got you on the show tonight. I think this is a discussion that a lot of people probably ask questions about, but rarely get the answers to. You've been in baseball for quite some time. I myself has been in baseball as a player and a coach for quite some time. But sometimes things aren't discussed that probably need to be discussed. And I think that you're the perfect person to kind of help me with this discussion tonight. We're going to discuss, baseball life as a high school or college player and also a professional player. And I want you to say what you need to say, keep it clean. But I want you to be able to just say what you need to say, let the listeners out there know what baseball players go through. And, we're going to discuss some of the pros and cons of this. But if you don't mind, can you kind of give us a little baseball background on yourself? What Major League affiliated teams you played for before we go into the discussion?
Yeah, I was, like I said, drafted in '05 by the Braves. And back then they called draft and follows, man. So I was drafted. I had signed the University of Alabama. I went to Chipotle for 1 year and signed as a draft and follow. And then from 2006 to 2012, I was with the Braves all the way up to, AAA. I was on their Major League roster there for, 2012. Those are the 2 years I was with you. What's up, Chief? And then I was traded to the Cubs, and I was there for 2 years. And then I was, had all my surgeries, and I was signed with the Brewers, traded to the Rays, and then finished my career with the Rangers in 2017. So those 5 teams or 4 teams.
Wow. So you are considered pretty much a baseball journeyman in some aspects because, guys are just lucky to be with one team, and you would say you was with 4 teams, correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and I spent, upwards of 7 years in AAA or so. I got some of those, like you said, those journeyman labels as I was kind of getting around,
Well, that's not bad because that's going to fit exactly into the discussion that we're going to get into, because I want you to kind of explain to the people, explain the life of being a minor leaguer in your words, that some of the parents and some of the listeners out there that can understand what that entails, the life of a minor leaguer.
Man, and it's hard for me to talk about, man, without a certain bias. And I know that you understand that, right? Because I'm coming to this out of a place of know that I've done this. Like I said, I always tell parents, because I'm the biggest advocate, I'm the biggest chase your dreams advocate you'll ever meet, right?
Right.
If you got a kid who wants to play Major League Baseball, I'll tell him, go for it, man. Chase your dream, man. And because that's the kind of kid that I was. You know what I mean? I was a chase your dream kind of kid, right? And so, when you get there and you kind of the first couple of years in weren't really that much of a grind to me because I was so pumped to be doing it, right? But really, when it started to become like it's just an absolute grind for me was after I made it to the big leagues, obviously 2012. I was a pretty young guy, right? 24, 25 that season. That's pretty young to be making your major league debut. I would say maybe it's not. I don't know.
No, you're correct because that's how old I was when I made my debut was 24. You're correct.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. And so that's kind of the season that I was in. 24, just turned 25. I was 24 for the majority of the season. Made my major league debut. And then so I come back the next year, and I have to have 2 hits. So I don't make the team out of camp. I was in camp with the Cubs all the way to the end.
Wow.
Even went to the exhibition there in Houston. Getting my orders, I'm going to AAA, and then I throw 4 innings and have to have 2 hip surgeries, right? So I missed those 2 seasons there, and I came back. From that point on, I was trying to grind back into the big leagues, and it just got to be such a grind. And Chicken, I would challenge anyone really that AAA is probably one of the toughest grinds you can go through due to the travel in AAA. It's pretty tough.
Yes, sir. Especially now, we said AAA. A lot of AAA clubs they tend to fly everywhere. I hadn't seen any AAA teams bust because the cities are so far apart. But once you get in A ball, rookie ball, and AA, a lot of those places you have to bus, and those bus rides could be horrible sometimes. What do you think?
Oh, dude, they're terrible. They're terrible, right? They're terrible. I mean, the bus rides are terrible, especially the bus rides through the night. But then, and I know that, I don't know how much exposure you've had to the PCL, but I had those 2 years in Gwinnett in the IL, International League with you, and then I spent the back 5 years in the PCL.
Yeah.
Which the PCL travel is from Memphis, Nashville area. New Orleans. I mean, you come over to New Orleans, all the way out to Tacoma and Fresno and Sacramento. I mean, it's from coast to coast, and you're talking, dude, we're talking 3:30 a.m. wake up bus to the airport, fly to Dallas, layover, fly to Arizona, fly whatever, and you're just like, oh my gosh, we got time changes, you got to play that. In the big leagues, you're just flying right after the game.
Absolutely. Hey, I'm glad you brought that point up. That's one thing that a lot of parents and some people don't understand. In the minors, you have 3:30, 4 o'clock wake up calls to get up, go to the airport, catch a flight, sometimes hour and a half, 2 hour flight. And you're playing that. You got to go to the hotel when you get there, check in, go to the field, work out, and you playing a game that night. But in the major leagues, you go straight to the plane. You don't have to go through the airport, deal with those lines. You go straight up to the plane. You take off. You're in your city within a matter of an hour or 2 that same night in your bed, sleep refreshed, getting ready to play a major league game the next day. You hit it the nail on the head right there, Jay, because that the minor league traveling and playing, it's a tough situation, isn't it?
Dude, listen, this is a true story. I know that you know this, right? Because we kind of did it in Gwinnett. We had to bus down to Atlanta. Now, we got lucky in Gwinnett because Atlanta had direct flights pretty much everywhere, right?
Right.
But in Colorado Springs, dude, we used to bus to Denver to fly out. Dude, I mean, it's like 2-hour bus ride.
How far a bus ride is that?
It's about an hour and 45 minutes or so. So we would get there 3:30 a.m. bus almost 2 hours to get on a plane. Like I said, and sometimes you would even have to have a small layover or whatever. And like you said, man, and like I said, I feel in some ways, a little bit like a prima donna because I'm griping about, a lifestyle that, no one, kids dream of living, right? But there are those parts of it that after a while start to kind of eat at you. You're like, man, if this is what, I'm slated for and I don't have a chance to get back to the big leagues, then, maybe I need to do something else,
Well, Jay, I'm glad you're expressing these things that's going on, because guess what? It's some kids out there that they think that minor leagues is just like the big leagues, because all they see is really what's on TV, what the major league guys are going through, but they don't have a clue until they actually get on that bus, ride in the middle of the night, doesn't have any sleep, can't sleep on the bus. And so I think this is great that you're letting the listeners and people know how it is in minor league, because these type of discussions don't be talked about a lot. So this kind of can prepare kids that want to be a major league player or what they're gonna have to go through, the hard work and the grind that they're gonna have to go through. And I'm glad you touched on that. But the next point I want to ask you about is we just talked about the grinds of the travel, the late nights getting out of the games or early flights. But what type of toll does this take on you as a player, major league player or minor league player, of being away from your family during those 6 months out of the year?
Yeah, dude, and that's part of it, man. And I mean that, like I said, I always used to tell people, like, hey, man, don't be crying for me, man. I understand that I throw baseballs for a living. And even in AAA, like I said, as far as money-wise, you can make a pretty decent living. So I was like, don't be crying for me. But with that being said, dude, there is times where it's like, man, I was actually just laughing about it. So I'm 31 years old right now, right?
Right.
So I just turned 31 this year, and I had this is the first birthday that I've had with my parents in my hometown since I was 17 years old, man. Can you believe that?
You know what?
Yeah,
I'm gonna throw something at you. What you just said. I've been in baseball for 29 years, and this is the first summer I've ever been at home in 29 years, so I can relate to you.
I mean, isn't that crazy to think about? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's very
crazy to think about. Yeah, and so there are those aspects of, like I said, I have a really close relationship with my family, and I was on the phone with them all the time and stuff, and they would come out and see me when they could. But it's just one of those things. It's one of those sacrifices that you make. And it is part of the thing that those sayings go. Because here's the deal with chicken, and we can both say this, right? The big leagues, in my opinion, is absolutely worth it. I mean, but you're going to have to sacrifice to get there.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I mean, anything that's worth it is going to take a sacrifice. You know what I mean? So, 100%. But like I said, the constant toll of it is, and really, chicken, this, from spring training to winter leagues to all, it's longer than 6 months, man. It's about, it's really longer than 6 months.
Absolutely. You threw in another thing about winter leagues. I forgot to mention that. What people don't know is you will be away from your family from spring training, which starts in February, until September. And then a lot of times some players need to go to winter ball. And what I'm referring to, listeners, as winter ball is they go play in other countries, in Mexico, Venezuela, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, where they go over there and they have like almost a 3-month season and then have a championship. Some players, and you probably done this as well, Jay, go over there. They'll come home for the season for about 2 or 3 weeks and have to fly right back out away from their family to go play in these other countries, where we kind of feel out of place when we sometimes go over to those countries, and then we come back after New Year's and might have 2 to 3 weeks with our family, then we back at it again. That's pretty tough on a player, isn't it?
Yeah, see, I went down to Dominican in 2011. I played down there for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And it is, man. It just and the thing is, a lot of people don't realize either that you can't just turn it off, man. So, like, not only when you come home from the season, you're like, yeah, I got to go play winter ball in 4 or 5 weeks. But and you know how it is. Like, you can't just stop throwing or stop swinging. I mean, you got to be out. So your prep and your work, the grind never stops, man. I mean, it's a full-time grind. I mean, and people just need to prepare for that. You know what I mean? That's
Absolutely.
Because that's what it is. I mean, that's what it is.
You are so 100% correct, man. Like I say, I'm gonna say this, and because I'm gonna say what I need to say. This profession might not be for you, and you can say that about other professions as well. But everybody, I try to tell parents, every kid is not gonna make it to the major leagues. A lot of kids can play professional baseball, but every year in spring training, they have to cut people, which I mean release people, because they have a filter of new players coming in the draft every year. So that's the hard part about, and the competitive part about it is where you got to go in and be ready. You got to keep yourself up to par. And a lot of times us as players, we go over to these winter leagues to get an edge. So when we come back in for spring training, we kind of a step ahead. So you know what, man, we could be talking about this all night, but hey, that's just the nature of it. And you and myself both have grinded out.
And like you said,
Go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, like, that's what, like you said, you go over to the winter leagues and you hope that, that separates you from some people that you're coming into spring training to compete against. Maybe they'll look at you. So maybe your spring was an average spring, but they look and goes, oh, yeah, but he had a good year in winter ball last year. So maybe that translates or what, just whatever you can do to get the edge. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. You touched on that. Perfect. But the next point I want you to touch on for the listeners and the parents and baseball enthusiasts out there. Now, I'm done with baseball and coaching. You're done with playing. Now, as a professional player, we have to transition over from our baseball everyday lives to the regular civilian life. And sometimes some people can handle it. Sometimes some athletes can't. So can you hit on has it been tough for you to transition from baseball to regular life, or has it's been a smooth transition? And also, any advice you can give to some of the players that out there listening that may be having a hard time transitioning from not being in baseball to the regular life?
Yeah, dude, this is something, and you know me, man. I'm pretty, I have a lot to say about this particular subject here, because obviously this resonates so closely with me because it's just happened. My arm broke. And I had my last surgery on February 2nd of 2018. So,
wow.
And that was officially the end of my baseball career, right? And at that point, no one had talked to me really about how to transition out. You know what I mean? And
wow.
And kind of what that was going to look like. And to be dead honest with you, Chicken, and you know how I am. I was a 100% kind of guy, right? And so I didn't give it much of a thought. You know what I mean? And so when that realization hit me, like, hey, you're not going to be able to play anymore. Like, what are you going to do next? Like the easy thing, in my opinion, the easy thing for me to do, and I'm not saying it's the easy way for a lot of people, but I'm just saying the easiest thing for me to do because of my playing tenure in the game, almost 13 years, it would have been to get back in at some capacity as a scout or a coach, right?
Right.
But, I just thought about all the times that, and here's the deal, Chicken, I will say this, man, and this maybe differentiates me from a lot of people, is that I had a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth from the back couple years of my career. Remember, I told you I was putting up really good numbers in AAA, man, and not getting called up. Wow. And I was really sour about it, right?
Yeah.
And so when that kind of came, I was presented, I was very fortunate. I attend a church here locally that I've attended since I was born, and a couple of the key members in the church are financial advisors, right? And they sat me down, and they kind of said, hey, if you're not going to get back into the baseball world, we think this is an area that you would do well in. So that's kind of the route I pursued from there, right? And so I've been doing that every day for, about 6-7 months now, right?
Nice.
Yeah, right. But like you said, a lot of it had to do with my my own inner conflict with how I felt about baseball at the time. You know what I mean?
Right. I know exactly what you mean, man. Hey, man. And me, myself, me and you included, we've been doing baseball our entire life. We started from the bottom and we made it to the top to being an MLB player and a pitcher. And a lot of people still think today that, it's roses and yellow brick roads. No. Put it this way, I would say this. A major league player is a minor league player with a chance. And whatever that minor league player does with his chance, that is going to kind of make the blueprint for him in his baseball career. Don't get me wrong. A lot of people are going to make it. A lot of people aren't. But, the transition phase for me, I was scared to death to get released as a minor league player. I'm just going to be honest, people. And
oh, dude, so was I. So was I.
Every day, Jay, I used to walk in the locker room hoping that pink slip wasn't hanging in my locker every day. And then I used to see some of my teammates get the slip, and I used to just feel really bad. And a lot of times, what people don't understand, a lot of minor league players, they might sign for like a small signing bonus. Some of them sign for actually nothing, and then they had their dreams snatched from them, and then they have to just start over and transition right away. We were kind of lucky to be able to have a little longer time in baseball, but I got some buddies now that to this day they still talk to me about, you know, it was hard for them to transition into the regular world because they thought and knew that they were going to be in baseball for a long time. But that's just the reality, you know, of this game. Last thing, Mr. Chapman, you are doing outstanding. You are saying exactly what you need to say. Last question I got for you to wrap it up. What advice would you give young kids and the parents about the baseball life, ups and downs, and the things they need to know about?
Yeah, what I would say is, man, like, if, you know, like I said, again, I have to kind of rehash from what I told you earlier. I'm a big chase your dreams guy, man. If that's what you think, you know, if that's what you think you were put on this earth to do, is throw the baseball or hit the baseball or whatever, then chase your dreams, you know. But what I would caution you to do is just be a little bit more prepared than I was, right? You know, there's some things that I didn't know, like you said, all the travel, all the grinding in the minor leagues. I didn't really understand that, right?
Gotcha.
And so just kind of be prepared for that. Understand that that's what that life's like. And then also have a little bit of a, you know, listen, I'm not a big backup plan guy too. I've already told you that. Right. But you know, because I'm a big, you know, if you got all your eggs in one basket, you'll carry that basket a little more carefully, right? But if you're going to have all your eggs in the baseball basket, you know, like I said, at least have some inkling to a clue as to what you would maybe like to do if you got hurt. Let's say, dude, a lot of times, Chicken, I don't even want to, you know, I don't want to take too much of your time.
No, we fine.
Some people, it's not that they don't make it because they're not good enough. How many first rounders you see get $1 million bonuses, right? Only 50% of them get to the big leagues, right? Because some of them, you might get hurt tomorrow, dude.
Absolutely.
Then what are you going to do, right? Then what are you going to do, right?
Yes.
And so just have some sort of clue as to what you may like to do when you get out, right?
Yes. Jay, hey, man, you said it all tonight. And like I said, the show was named after you tonight. Say what you need to say. And you said exactly what I think a lot of parents, a lot of kids, and a lot of listeners out there want to hear, you know, because people don't talk about this. All people talk about a lot of times is being on the TV, the money they make, the lifestyle they live, how famous they are. But, you know, once you're done with playing a professional sport, be it baseball, football, whatever it is, you're going to have to make a transition into the regular world to live a regular life. And Jay, man, hey, you hit every corner, nick and cranny, and I really do appreciate you getting on the show tonight, man. Hopefully I get to get you back on the show later on down the road. But hey, man, I miss seeing that nasty changeup striking guys out, and I appreciate you coming on the show, man.
Hey, Chicken, man, you know me, man. We go way back. You know I got nothing for love with you, man. Like I said, you were a big influence in my career, a big positive force in my career, and I appreciate our time together, man. And I'm glad our paths have crossed again.
I appreciate those kind words, sir. So, hey, make sure you go out there and do what you do, man. And don't forget, say what you need to say, Jay, and we'll talk to you again soon. Thanks.
That's right. Thanks, Chicken.
Yes, sir.
Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, wow. This show was pretty strong tonight. We had Mr. Jaye Chapman out of Panama City, Florida. Was drafted by the Braves in 2005. In the 16th round, he played for 4 different major league clubs. And we discussed, you know, baseball life after baseball, because at some point in time, if you're a professional player, it's gonna end. You just don't know when. It can end from an injury. It can end from anything. So he made some very valid points tonight about, you know, having a fire, having a passion. Talked about minor leagues, the grind, the work it needs to put in. Because one thing that people don't understand sometimes, you see them on TV, but you don't actually see what the type of sweat, work, and dedication and discipline that these guys put in on a daily basis just to get to that point. Wow, boy. I really thank Jaye Chapman for calling in tonight. But ladies and gentlemen, like I said, go to Facebook, leave your comments, leave a contact number, an email, or you can email me at GaryIngram@yahoo.com, GAREY, or you can call me, leave me a text or voicemail at 706-464-0090 so you can get on this talk show and say what you need to say. Ladies and gentlemen, be coming back to you probably Monday or before. I like to surprise you guys, but this was a great show tonight, the before and after life of a professional baseball player. And like I said, make sure you call it so you can say what you need to say. Have a great weekend, people.